But that then brings us to why he ascended. You see, as a young kid, I thought, Lord, if you would have stayed here on earth, you could have showed everyone that you rose from the dead. But wait a minute, what would he be declaring? Well, he died for our sins, but wait a minute, his death would not be eternal if he did not enter into the eternal heavens. This is what Paul says in Hebrews chapter 9. Listen to this, because Jesus, he died on the cross as the lamb, but he arose into heaven as a high priest. You see, there were three people that were essential to offer the sacrifices. First, there was the man who brought the lamb, and he was the one who cut the lamb, killed the lamb. Actually, the high priest didn't kill the lamb, but he supervised its killing, just as Pontius Pilate was the one who crucified Christ under the eyes of the high priest, right, as they watched him. But the second person that was necessary for the sacrifice was the high priest. All right? And what did the high priest do? He had to take the blood into the Holy of Holies. Simply having the lamb sacrificed on the altar was not sufficient. He had to take the blood into the Holy of Holies, and when he did that, then the blood of the sacrifice was accepted. So it wasn't the death on the cross that ended the sacrifice, or God saying it's sufficient, that's all you need to do. No. Jesus died as the lamb, but he had to ascend into heaven. And to ascend into heaven was his way of ascending into the real Holy of Holies. So when Jesus went into heaven, he's going into heaven as a high priest, not as a lamb. At the cross, he's the lamb. But in his ascension, he's the high priest. And how could there be an eternal redemption if he doesn't enter into the eternal dimension of heaven? Listen to Hebrews chapter 9. It says in verse 24, "For Christ did not enter a sanctuary made with human hands. That was only a copy of the true one. He entered heaven itself, now to appear for us in God's presence." Do you hear what he's saying? Is he had to enter into heaven. And the Holy of Holies, the tabernacle, was a copy. It was a symbol of the true one in heaven. So the reason why he had to enter heaven, he had to enter it in our behalf to make the sacrifice of Christ an eternal one. You see, Jesus died at, April 30 AD or 33 AD, depending on your calculation. But here's the point. He died at a specific time in history. But it was his entering into heaven that made the sacrifice eternal. And this is what the Hebrew writer is saying, is that he entered so that he could obtain eternal redemption for us.